Okay, so hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In previous video, we saw the introduction of the pandas. We did some basic operation like we have created a data frame from a dictionary. Then we imported an Excel file, and then we did perform some of the basic of operation like defining the column, defining the index name, and doing some subsetting or fetching the data. Okay, now let's go ahead and see some of the advanced options related to data frame. We'll go ahead and take a data set and we will perform some sanitation and cleaning on that data using pandas. Okay, now let's go ahead, and for that I will import. So I am having a file, um, software details. So I will use that file. So I will say we have already imported pandas, so I will use pd equal to, sorry, say software details. So I will say sd equal to uh, pandas dot, what was the function you have seen the previous video to loaded csv file? It was read csv, right? Yes, so it was read csv. We will use that, and we will say the file name is softdetails.csv. Okay, now let's go ahead and first print this head of this file. What does head function do? We have seen in the previous video. Yes, it prints top 5 rows from your data set. Okay, so let's go ahead and print that also. So I can see, you can see we are having some value like software category, the comments on that softwares, the size in MB, the number of users, the type of the software, okay, whether that is free or not, what is the generation, what is the last updated, what is the current version, what is the Android version, and what is the rating of that. Okay, so this is the data set which we are going to use in our demonstration. Okay, so first step is to let's go step by step. First you will see how many rows of data we are having. How many rows? Okay, so for that you can simply use sd.save function. Okay, that will tell you the rows and the columns of your data frame. Okay, so we have 13 and 4012, that is our total rows present in this say in this file, or in this, yeah, in this file we are having total of 4012 rows. Okay, now let's go ahead and try to understand the data, whether these data contains any null values or not. Okay, so what we'll see, we will see check, we will check for null values. Okay, so what I will say, I will say sd dot is null. Okay, so the is null is a function which will tell you whether it contain a null value or not, and I will say dot sum. So sum will what will do, it will aggregate the column wise data for us. Let's go ahead and print this and check the output. Okay, so as you can see, software, the number of null values is 0, so there is no null value in software. We are good with that data. So first step is to check the null values. We have checked the null values. Category is having 0 null values, then price is having 0 null values. Okay, now in rating we can see we are having 487 null values. Okay, that's the problem, so we have to first rectify this. Okay, how we will do that? So first let's go ahead and check what is the value, what is the most used value of this rating. Okay, this rating value. So what I will do, I will say sd dot rating dot use mode. Okay, So mode will tell you the mostly used values in your data set. So as I can see, 4.4 is generally used for the rating, is most used rating in our data set. Okay, so if this is not the primary factor of my analysis, so suppose my data or my chart is not dependent on this, this is a secondary factor. So what I can do, I will simply replace it with the maximum values which we have used. Okay, so I will say fetch, sorry, let me comment it, fetch max used values for call. Okay, so I fetched the max used value, that is sd.rating.mode using. Okay, now let's go ahead and try to fill with the maximum used value. So what I can do, I will say sd dot rating, of course you want to fill rating dot fill na, so it will fill the null values. And we can do it two ways, either we can pass whole of this function that will return 4 into 4 and will fill in this, or we can simply pass something like 4.4. okay, now I will run this. Okay, now let's go ahead and again check for the null values. So I will do sd.null.sum. So oh sorry, I have not assigned it back to the data frame, so I have to write something like sd dot rating equal to, now as you can see we are sorted with rating, there are no null values in rating. Okay, so I will add a comment, fill null values. Okay, so as you can see there is no null values now. So now we can observe that in current version we are having a null value. So we will do the same thing for the current version column. Okay, so what was the function for fetching the maximum used value? Yeah, it was mode, you remember. So let's go ahead and copy this, current version dot mode. Okay, this will give us the mostly used value for this current version. So okay, we don't use dot, sorry for that, run this again. Okay, so it's varies with device, so I will copy this. Okay, and I will fill this value. So as we did for rating, we will do same thing, like sd, first let's copy this. Okay, so I will say sd dot rate current version equal to sd dot current version dot fill na, and then I will copy paste this one. Okay, now by you have filled the all, we have taken care of all null values. Now let's go ahead and check the null values once again, just for our confirmation. So as you can see we are having 0 null values in this column. Okay, now we are good with the null values, we are not having any null values in our data frame. Okay, now let's go ahead and okay, now let's go ahead and check the data types of these columns. So what was the function for that? If you remember from the last video, it was describe. Okay, sorry, it was info. So I will write info here, and when we do this we can see price column is having the data type object, but it should be data type something like float or integer was expected. Okay, any of these was expected, but it's having something like object, which doesn't make sense for us. So we'll go ahead and try to examine why it's coming like so. So I will press shift enter, and then I will say sd dot price dot value counts. So as I can see, or as we can see, there is some dollar sign coming before this price. Okay, that's the reason why Python is unable to understand these values, and it's making the data type as object. Okay, so we have to remove this dollar sign. Okay, how to achieve that? What I will do, I will apply a function that will remove the dollar sign from this data set. Okay, from this column, sorry. Okay, so for that we will do something like sd dot price dot apply, and we will apply a lambda function, lambda x. Okay, and we will convert the value into float or something. So first we will check whether it contains the dollar sign or not. So I will say x if x of 0 equals which sign? Dollar sign, else x. Okay, so what we are saying here, we are simply saying like, if the price, whichever price you have taken, is containing a dollar sign on the first element, as a first element, if there is a dollar sign, remove the first dollar sign and rest return. And if there is no dollar sign, then simply return the x. We don't want to do anything with that. Okay, so let's, okay, so what I have did, I have simply write a function, lambda function, to remove the dollar sign from the price. Okay, what is use of this? Okay, so before doing this, let's try to change the data type of this column. Okay, so what I will do, I will write like sd dot price equal to sd dot price. Okay, now, okay, let me write this way. Now say sd dot price dot as type, and I will call I will say float 64. Okay, now execute this. Okay, so it has been executed. Why? Because I have already applied that function to that column. So let's reload this file. Okay, so where we were calling sd, okay, here. Okay, now it will refresh the file, and now let's go ahead and try to change that to float. Okay, value counts float. Now let's see, here we are getting error. Why? Because there was some junk data which it was unable to convert into dollar. So you can see into float. Here you can see the error is like could not convert string to float. Okay, so it's containing dollar sign, so it is unable to change it to float. Okay, but by using this function which we wrote earlier, okay, it will remove the dollar sign. Okay, remove the, say, the junk character. Okay, it will remove the junk character from our column, and it will make the column uh, like best fit for to convert into float. So it will remove the dollar sign, and now when we try to convert it into float, now when we try to convert it into float, and I will execute this, as you can see, it got executed successfully. And now when we check the data type of that column, and I will run this, you can see, okay, what is happening here. Okay, so I have already executed this. Okay, let me do one thing. I have to go ahead and reload this. Okay, so I will reload this SD column from the file. Okay, we were here. Yes, now let go ahead and run this column first. Okay, run that function, the lambda function which we wrote first. Okay, so I will, where is our lambda function? Yes, sd.price equal to, yeah, shift enter. Okay, now it run properly. Now let's go ahead and try to run the try to fetch the information about the columns. Now we can say the price is float 64, which make more sense to us. We wanted to price to be in float 64 data type, so that we can perform some mathematical operations like mean, average type of data, or to do any mathematical operation on this numerical value, whichever we want. Okay, so that's all for this video. In next video we will use matplotlib library and seaborn library to make chart from this data, or from this data frame, and we will try to analyze like box graph, and we will see what is median, what is 25%, and how we can plot them into graph. Okay, so in this video we have learned the basic about the statical data. In the float, in the graphical video, or in the video of graph, we will see in detail what that they mean. Okay, bye bye.